Good morning guys, Laura here with Novice Garden. I hope you're all well. Welcome back to another video and thank you for watching today. I'm going to be doing part 2 of a project that I started a while ago and I'm really excited to do it. It's a project that I've been kind of building towards and collecting plants for a while, and I've been waiting for a really nice day like today to get out while the soil is nice and dry and plant everything. So I'm going to link to the first video below so that you guys can watch that and just remind yourselves what we did. But basically what we did was cut out turf that we had in an existing area of lawn in my garden to create a couple of new flower beds. And since then I've been working on just improving the soil condition, adding some kind of different things to it to help to create a really nice planting environment, somewhere for the plants to really really flourish and thrive. And I've just been collecting lovely perennials at garden centres since then, some beautiful things to plant, which is what I'm going to be doing today, and I'm really excited about it. So first of all, let's go over and have a look at the area of lawn that I'm discussing, and then what we'll do is take a look at some of the plants that I'm talking about. So this here is the area of lawn in question, and you can see, hopefully you guys can see just with the way the sun is this morning, around the perimeter here where I've introduced around here the new flower beds. In terms of condition, the soil is a lot better now. I've been working on introducing lots of different soil improvers, and you can see here how much better the soil is. It's just a lot looser. So before we start chatting about the plants that I'm going to be using today, I wanted to just give you a brief history of what we've been doing to improve the soil condition. I garden in central Scotland in a kind of semi-urban new build development, which is super typical for the area that I'm in. Hey guys, sorry, I came inside to finish chatting about our improvements that we made to soil because it got really loud outside all of a sudden. It's a bank holiday weekend, so everybody's out enjoying their gardens. But I thought I would come inside just so that we didn't have to struggle over the noise of the neighbours for a while. So yeah, I was chatting about the improvements that we made to the soil, which are really important where I garden anyway, because as I said, I garden in a very typical new build back garden in central Scotland. And if you're like me and you also live in a new build, then perhaps you'll be able to sympathise. But one of the kind of things that we come up against is really poor soil, and ours was heavy clay. So in order for a lot of the plants that I want to plant to kind of thrive and really kind of flourish where I'm going to plant them, I knew I would need to improve the soil. And there's ups and downs to clay soil. Generally it tends to be very nutrient rich, which is amazing obviously for kind of plant health, but it also tends to be in wet weather extremely damp and claggy, and in dry weather like for example just now, periods of time where we have no rain, it can just dry to a brick hard kind of mass. So anyway, I decided to improve the soil, and the way that I've done that is through using 3 different things. So I use something called gypsum, which is a product otherwise known as calcium sulfate, which helps to bind itself to the clay particles in the soil and stop the clay from sticking together, which is what makes it claggy. That's not a one and done treatment, by the way. That has to be kind of continuously added throughout the years, which is something that I am willing to do. And the other 2 things that I used were organic matter, so like well rotted manure. I dug that through the soil, and then I also used compost as well. And adding those things has just basically helped to really free up the soil. It's much more free draining. The plants are going to be happier there. There are some plants that will thrive in heavy clay, but most will benefit from the soil being improved to some extent. So that's one of the things that we've done in preparation for planting today. My partner also dug through the whole area with a pickaxe because the ground was heavily compacted from kind of having previously heavy machinery driving over it and things like that. Again, as I say, if you're in a new build development in the UK, I'm sure you can sympathise with me. So that's essentially the history of the area that we're about to look at today. I've dug out the borders, improved the soil, and now I'm about to plant some gorgeous things. So let's go and take a look at some of those plants that I'm chatting about. Before we go much further, I thought it would be beneficial to actually show you guys the kind of brief plan, very rough plan I made of the garden, which is where I just kind of roughly drew out the shapes that I have in the garden, and then just put in some kind of details, some important things just around the garden, like for example the archway, the raised beds, the patios, and then from there I built up my plan, starting with kind of the big shrubs. So for example over here like the limelight hydrangea, and then I mirrored it over here on the other side. And I also added in things that I have already planted in the borders. I have a dwarf cherry tree over here, and of course the I know it's not planted, but the archway is in one of the borders. And then from there I built around the smaller perennials like the hostas, the delphiniums. I left some spaces for annuals as well. This is something that was just beneficial to me. Again, I work quite visually, so it helped for me to kind of draw everything out. And I also made a list of the actual plants that I have. And you can see next to them, I took into consideration things like their light requirements. So for example, part shade or full sun. And that helped me to just decide which would be the best place for each individual plant. If we go back in reference to the little drawing that I made, you can see what I've done is I've added to each border a description of how the light hits that area. So that's also something else that's beneficial to do when you're planting up new borders, is to have a look and see where where the light is, and just the different kind of light conditions that each part of the border is going to get. So I have 3 beds which are in full or partial sun, and one which is in pretty deep shade. So that helped me just to decide where would be the best place to put all the plants. Okay, so this is the area where I'm keeping all of my plants. They're mostly perennials. I've got some shrubs, as you can see here. So let's actually start with these. These 2 are a couple of limelight hydrangeas. I'll show you the tag. And then just behind the hydrangeas, I've got a collection of hostas here, which I'm trying to keep the slugs off of. Behind them I have a couple, actually 3 beautiful heucheras. And then over in the corner here I think you can see some hardy geraniums, a yarrow behind them. And then towards the back I've got 3 delphiniums, some nepeta, and 1 phlox just in here. I might actually need to take a trip to the garden centre later to add to this collection, but we're going to lay everything out in the borders and see how it all looks. That's everything I've got so far in this corner, and what I'll do, guys, is once I've laid everything out, I'll give you all a more in detail explanation of what the variety of each of the plants are and what their condition requirements are. But for now, what I'm going to do is get everything laid out in roughly the position where I think they want to go in the borders, and then we'll take a little tour. Hello again, guys. I've got everything laid out and I'm ready to give you guys a little bit of a tour. It is really warm and it's also still really noisy with neighbours, so sorry about that. I've had to make myself a little iced coffee. Cheers. So let's take a little tour and I'm going to try and give you guys a bit more info about the plants that I have all laid out. Very, very sunny, so hopefully you guys can see all this and not too much of my shadow. Let's start over in this corner here. So I've got in the back over there next to the arch, you can see my David Austin rose. It's a clear Austin climbing variety, so it's going to go up and over the archway there. And then I've got 3 delphiniums. So it is a Delphinium elatum and it is called F1 Guardian Lavender. Full sun, and they get to about a metre tall, so they're going to look amazing in this area. Let's move along now. So in this bed, which is the sunniest of all the beds, it has my limelight hydrangea in the middle, of course, like beautiful shrub, massive kind of panicle white flowers, underplanted with some Nepeta. So I have 3 of these to create a little bit of a hedge. And the variety on this one is, let's just have a look, it's a slightly smaller variety, I think. So you can see it's actually just starting to bloom now. Junior Walker. Full sun, around half a metre in height. Next to the Nepeta, I've got a yarrow. Which is Achillea. It'll get to just under a metre tall. And next to that, I've got a Phlox, which is one of the tall varieties, and it doesn't have a little plant label on it, so I'm really sorry guys, but I can't tell you what the variety of that one is. I do know that it has gorgeous purple flowers. So we're going to swing round now and have a look over in this border, which has already got my bird feeding table and my dwarf Pink Perfection cherry tree, and now also has some Roseanne hardy geraniums, which are like really long flowering, like blue, electric blue, kind of purpley blooms. And then if we just spin round and we'll head round towards where it gets more kind of full shade. So you can see here my little hedge of hostas. 2 of the varieties, the greener varieties, I don't actually know because they are volunteers from my mum's garden. But the one in the middle here is Hosta Orange Marmalade, which will eventually spread about a metre wide, so I might actually need to space these guys out a little bit further. And then we're going to finish up with my kind of part shade area, and you can just see behind all this rubbish my fountain in the background here. I've got 3 heucheras, the 2 on the outside, the purple varieties, they are green spice, I think, or spiced green. I'm going to go and double check in a second. And the one in the middle, I'm not sure, let's check. Happy Easter. And yeah, green spice. Look at the leaf on that, beautiful. And on this one. And then I'm finishing up with another limelight hydrangea. So that was the tour of all the plants I'm about to plant. So Apologies, I am sweating. It is really warm out here. I'm just about to start planting everything, and then once I've done that, I'm going to take you guys around for the full final tour. So I just wanted to quickly let you know what I'll be using when I'm planting all of these new perennials into the garden. I'm going to be amending the soil a little bit further by using some fish blood and bone fertiliser in each of the holes that I dig for the plants, and also a little bit of extra compost, and that's just going to help to give the plants the best start they can possibly get. So I'm super pleased that I got everything planted up. I'm really happy with the way that it looks. I'm just going to give you guys a final look at the new borders. Of course, bear in mind that I did leave quite a lot of space for my annuals that I'm growing from seed. Over in this border, we've got my phlox and my little hedge of delphiniums, which are going to be so gorgeous when they put on their blooms and they're just lovely and tall. The variety of phlox was F1 Guardian Lavender, and they have just a beautiful lilac bloom. Behind that, I've got my David Austin, Claire Austin rose, which will be climbing up and over the archway. Round to this next part of the border, which is the sunniest part of the garden up here, I've got my Achillea or yarrow, which is a cloth of gold variety, and it has lovely big yellow blooms. And next to that, I've got my little wave of Junior Walker Nepeta, which is a smaller version of the very popular pollinator attracting perennial, and it'll only spread and get to about 45 centimeters tall. And behind that, I've got my beautiful limelight hydrangea. I do think that maybe I need a contrasting texture of foliage for this area. I'm thinking perhaps a really lovely dark leaved heuchera for behind there, so bear with me, I may go and pick that up from the garden centre. I'm going to come round now to this border over here where I have my dwarf Little Pink Perfection cherry tree. And what I've done is I've underplanted it with the gorgeous hardy geranium Roseanne. And in this bed over here, I'm just giving you a really good look at it. This is the shadiest part of the garden. And what I've got is just lots of really nice textural foliage. So I'll give you one last look here at the beautiful Roseanne hardy geraniums. They're just so gorgeous. I love the little purple blooms on them. They're going to become at least 1/2 meter wide and tall. Each one of them will fill out and it'll really kind of take over this area. This is my little hedge of hostas. Of course, the two green on the outside I didn't have a variety for because they were gifted to me from my mum. The one in the middle is orange marmalade. And over in this corner here, I have another limelight hydrangea. And we'll just have to wait and see how it does. It does have different light in this area. It's a lot shadier over this side, so it perhaps won't get quite as big as the other one in the sunnier border. But it's underplanted with my beautiful little hedge of heuchera. I have two of the green spice variety and one of the Happy Easter in the middle. So I hope you guys have enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for joining me for the end of this project. I am just really excited to see how these borders fill in and develop throughout the course of the season. Of course, as I said, I'll be adding lots and lots of annual interest to some of these areas here, and I'll be sure to keep you guys updated with lots of progress pictures. Thank you for joining me today, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye.